beautiful life. Keep the planet healthy, we keep ourselves healthy. I see trees are green, red roses too. I see them bloom, for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Well, welcome to Chris Summerfield TV Worldwide. I've been making videos for the last 30 years and I've got several channels on YouTube. Some of them have got 30,000 subscribers and over 1 million hits on one video alone. That's the traffic in Plymouth for you. And I'm just going for a walk to Jennycliff today to open up this new channel and stay with us. And hopefully you'll subscribe to all my other channels like Summertime TV International, where I've been recording Pride events, travel and total adventure events over the last 30 years. So hope you enjoy the trips. So today's walk will take me along the coastal path over the embankment road, I think that's what they call it, heading towards Plymouth Dock, and then head towards Who Lake on the disused overland, which is a really nice walk, one of my regular walks when I'm in Plymouth. When I was in the RAF Mountain Rescue, I managed to climb Mount Rainier in Washington, climbing the French Pyrenees, and then when I left the Air Force I cycled 1,000 miles down to Biarritz and Middlewich in Cheshire in 1,000 miles in 13 days on a racing push bike. Had to break all the barriers to get through that because I had metal fatigue in the bike and the bike wheels collapsed at Bordeaux, so I went to Bordeaux at a later date to catch up on the city because I'd never been there to look around properly. So I've been there 2 or 3 times now, and you can find those videos on YouTube as well, including their Pride ones, which I made a bit of a mess of because I had the flash gun settings wrong and it overloaded the images, which was a shame. Adventures on YouTube, and because I like the surreal aspect of it, I've done the naked cycle rides in Madrid, Exeter, London and places like that. The one I did in London was very surreal because you had, I think it's the Queen's Diamond Jubilee in one area of the Mall, and you had a fanfare, all the trumpets were going off, and you had 2,000 naked cyclists in another street, which is incredibly surreal. And then I did the Exeter naked cycle ride as well, which was through the city of Exeter about 4 or 5 years ago, and within a year that video had got 1 million hits, but it had no revenue on it because it had nudity, which is ludicrous in a supply and demand market world we're in. YouTube won't put any adverts on nudity because it's classed as sexually stimulating apparently. So they're losing out on an awful lot of money, and so are the people, the creators are losing out on an awful lot of money because they've got 30,000 subscribers on that channel with no revenue coming in, and then like I said, millions of hits on one video alone. So I'm losing a potential lot of money. So it's a beautiful sunny day in June and it's really hot, and I'm going to walk to Jennycliff, as I mentioned, through Plymouth's historical Barbican. Beautiful area of the city, but a lot of the history is being lost now because the councils over the years have just let it dissolve into nothing, which is a shame because it'd be great for promoting the city and moving things forward. A lot of the architecture and the names. People like Charles Darwin left Plymouth to discover the origins of the species. And you see very little for him. And then over at Devonport you've got Scott's Memorial as well, which you can find on YouTube on one of my YouTube channels. And just here was the his main studio for artist Robert Lenkiewicz, a very controversial man. He had at least 19 children that he admitted to, and he had 2 bodies hidden away in that top studio area, which is like a TARDIS. When I came to Plymouth in 1991, it was great to look at. And for 5 years I recorded Mal Norton's Magic Shop in Plymouth Barbican with Trick of the Week, and it was a great experience. Lots of videos made, and they're on an independent channel, Mal Norton Magic TV with Jamie. Thanks to Jamie, he's a great assistant. He's a great assistant, and it did him good as well because he was getting a lot of good life experience out of what he was doing. 2020 was a bad year for Plymouth and the rest of the world actually because of the COVID lockdown. So everybody's staying in the UK now because of limited travel abroad, and it means that the Plymouth Barbican is heaving, and it's just nice to get out and head away from the mass overload of people. I hate the pub culture in the Barbican at night because it's an overload, and there's an awful lot of crime that comes on the back of booze culture in Plymouth, which is a shame really. You should be concentrating on the history, not the booze culture. So now I'm heading towards Plymouth's famous Mayflower Steps, where the Pilgrim Fathers sailed out 400 years ago to discover the world. I was going to say the origins of the species, but that's Charles Darwin, who set up from Plymouth Sound many years ago. Another project I covered was Plymouth Barbican artists, or the White Lane artists in Plymouth Barbican. So this is White Lane, and on the right hand side is Sue Will's gallery and Glyn White's gallery on the left, which I've recorded in the past. And it's just nice to reflect and see those videos during lockdown. So if you get time to see them, see them. So this is the art of Sue Wills. Very talented. And just around the corner here this is New Street in the Barbican. There's some beautiful. This is probably the only old part of Plymouth that's left, thanks to Plymouth City Council over the generations. And if what wasn't demolished by the Second World War was demolished by councils after that for any reason, which is a shame because Plymouth is a city that should be steeped in history, and a lot of that could have been brought into the modern in a better way. So just along here is or was So Perfect cameras, and they've moved now to New Street, and there's a jeweller in their premises now, which is just up here. So the Magpie's Nest is a place where you can get jewellery based on rocks, and that was the old studio for So Perfect cameras. So we'll cover that another day. Just head off now and go for the walk. That's Plymouth Tourist Information. You can find out anything you want from there. And just over the back there is Bertie's Ice Cream, where I've made videos there in the past as well. And some of the best ice cream in Plymouth, all handmade by a very hyperactive Bertie. We're heading towards, this is Sutton Harbour by the way, so we're heading towards the National Marine Aquarium now. You can see sharks, there's a blind turtle there as well. Don't know if you're still there or not. That was there a few years ago. So last year in 2020 they had the Mayflower launch here of the Mayflower Andronius, what they call it, Andronius ship, where it goes up by itself across the Atlantic or across the world. And over there is Bertie's Ice Cream. I love it in the weather's like this. It's like being in the Mediterranean in the southwest of England, especially in places like Plymouth, Torquay, and these areas. And there's a wealth of money in the harbour with all these boats and yachts. There's that Salcomb's rockfish. We can get some really nice fish and chips there. National Marine Aquarium. I think you need to pay about £30, nearly £30 for a seasonal ticket or something like that. Could be wrong. For over 30 years I've recorded pride events across Europe, from Lisbon, Portugal, Lisbon is Portugal of course, but Lisbon, Paris, Madrid, then World Pride Madrid, and Amsterdam, Sitges, and a lot of the UK ones as well, Manchester, Plymouth, Newquay, Truro, Totnes, and the Great Bristol one, and you can all find them all on YouTube. And it's very historical now because, like I said, it's been recorded over 30 years. Now I was doing it way before a lot of other people was, but now everybody's doing the same thing. So it's almost a saturated market. And I've been doing it free as well, because I wanted to build up a body of work that I could work off at a later date and hopefully use it as canvas to try and get established. But it's taken a long time to do it. And I was mountain rescue for 5 years up in North Wales when I was in the Air Force, in Snowdonia from Maria Valley, and I got used to climbing mountains, and this is probably the biggest mountain I'm having to climb now. My plan is just to walk to Jenny Cliff because I've got a longer day tomorrow. I'm going to cycle from Exeter St David's rail station to Dawlish. I've never done that route before, and I'll go in blind and just check it out. Earlier on during the week I went to Exeter and followed the River Exe to the estuary, which you can find on Love Summertime TV. So check it all out, keep in touch, see what happens. Out there you've got Drake's Island, named after Sir Francis Drake of course. In the harbour here, Darwin set sail to discover the origins of the species in the Beagle, and so he spent time building up his supplies and getting ready to sail out from here. Nelson came here also when he was exiled from France. He came here in exile till they took him over to St Helena. And then you had Lawrence of Arabia, who's based at Mountbatten in his last posting just after the Second World War, I think it was. And he demoted himself to corporal, and they used to have flying boats here, so they must have been really, really noisy. So there's so much history here, but there's very little to show for it. The monuments they have got up for they had put up for those characters are very insulting, to be honest, too small and insignificant. This is Chris Summerfield TV Media production worldwide. Don't forget to subscribe, friend and share. Love Summertime TV worldwide on YouTube. In June 2021, I had 30,000 subscribers and a million hits on one video alone, so it's well worth being in touch. Let's friend share the world. It's beautiful life. This is Chris Summerfield TV Media production worldwide. Don't forget to subscribe, friend and share. Love Summertime TV worldwide on YouTube. In June 2021, I had 30,000 subscribers and a million hits on one video alone, so it's well worth being in touch. Let's friend share the world. So this is like a medallion to St Christopher, and of course I'm Christopher, so that's to me, that's really good. And that means bearing Christ, so that is St Christopher bearing little Jesus on his shoulder, meek and mild. There you got the Coast Guard across the water there, and there's one of the boats from Norway, one of the tankers from Norway I was telling you about. And just to the left here you've got an international fisheries, and quite often when you walk along here you can smell smoked fish, and it's a beautiful smell. Remember a while back there was some fish looking at dirty magazines in the sea, and they had to send in the prawn squad. I'm coming out of the industrial area at Teats Hill now and heading towards OR2, which is the Theatre Royal Training Ground, which is what I was telling you about, and that's just over there. So we're going to follow the waterfront around the side of OR2 because it's out in the sun and it's away from the industrial area. And just across the water is Richard Branson's old boat, Virgin Atlantic 2, which has been owned by somebody over there for many years since it was rescued, going to ruin in, I think it was in Europe somewhere. I ho, I ho, I ho, it's off to work we go. I'm going to say with a bucket and spade and a hand grenade, but that's the military version, which is very destructive. I'm not into destruction in any way at all. Leave that to the British media, press and analogue television in the UK. Everything I do is trying to be constructive and looking at the bright side of things, like the sun. That's why I call myself Summertime. So this is the river, I was going to say it's the River Plymouth, but I don't think it is. Yeah, it is, it's the River Plymouth, the bottom end of the River Plymouth. Get your head together, of course I know. If I could turn back time, do 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 do. So Richard Branson's boat, Virgin Atlantic 2, is up that area there, and we'll be going over there in a minute, shortly anyway. Just a long way around. That's always a thing. If you think you're following headlines and you're going to find it easy to get to where you want to get to, you've got to remember if you're by the sea, you've got always got rivers that you've got to cross, so you can have to go the long way around to get to anywhere, which is what we're doing today. So there's people back in OR2 now training for the next series of programmes going off at the Theatre Royal in Plymouth. Listen to the birds. A lot of people lose touch with nature because they're not listening. And when you start recording nature again, then you start picking up those other elements into your senses. Is the word I'm looking for. I try to be on. I try and look on the positive side of everything, but I get frustrated because since being in Plymouth for 30 years, everything's nothing but put down, and you try and do things, you just seem to hit walls. Last year, I wanted to record the launch of the Anthony Gormley statue on Plymouth West Hoe, and I waited 2 hours to try and catch him opening launching the statue. And the arrogant staff of the box said I couldn't record him because he didn't want to be recorded. Now that monument cost Plymouth £750,000. So, and as much part of the art history and promoting the art history of Plymouth as anybody else. In fact, I've probably been doing it longer than the staff of the box. This is a new gallery and museum that opened up just over 18 months ago in Plymouth, but he got hit by COVID, so the launch and setback and the publicity side was held back dramatically, and it's supposed to be a community open art gallery and studio, so I get very frustrated when they say they're promoting the city and working with the people, and then I was prevented from getting close to Anthony Gormley. But ironically, I probably got the best video because I was at a distance, so I actually got the camera crews recording Gormley, so I got it from an outside point of view looking in, which is the story of my work really, because I try and keep out of politics, but Plymouth over the years has brought me into the politics, and I don't want to be involved with it, because my work's always been about looking at the outside of Plymouth and looking at the bigger picture to an international level. That's why I've been going into Europe a lot during the last few years. Always on the outside looking in, never getting involved with people, but seeing what's going on. And it's so spiritual and uplifting, because I've got a bigger picture in my head as to what's going on socially than most people. and the lack of experience that backs it up as well. It's outstanding. All the expensive yachts in the harbour and boats in the harbour, and all the expensive property that's going up around the waterfront in Plymouth. You expect Plymouth City Council to try and be promoting Plymouth as an upmarket city to come to, with top-end shops and stuff like that, like they have in places like Saint-Tropez. Because Saint-Tropez is nothing but a little village if you take out the wealth of the billionaires and the millionaires, where it's been made trendy for them to go there after during the Princess Grace of Monaco period. So if they marketed Plymouth that way, and got rid of the pub culture, all it's doing is bringing in a criminal element of hardcore drugs and drunks, which makes Plymouth almost a no-go area at night, like some areas of France have been into. And that's a shame, really, because historically it's got so much going for it, but it's just being put at risk by the council promoting the pub culture, which it has been doing for years. So I'm now at the Prince's Rock Overbridge, which goes over the River Plym. Then the idea is to go over the other side there and head towards those aerials in the background. Interesting weekend in the southwest of England, actually, because you've got the top people in the world in Cornwall at the moment, near St Ives. You've got the President of America, you've got the President of France, then you've got Boris Johnson there, well, forget him, maybe, and the 7 top people of the world there, and there's more security there than people. So in Plymouth you've got armed police officers walking around with submachine guns, almost intimidating the population, closing the town off in beautiful weather like this from tourism. And the head of an organisation said he was selfish for them to have it down there, and that's the only time I'd agree with the head of that organisation. And I'm not going to mention the name of the organisation because I don't like it, because I think they're as corrupt as anybody else. Graffiti. It would be nice to know the story behind these boats. There's one in Hoo Lake, which I'll show you in a minute, which is decomposing very quickly now, and it would have been nice to have known the story behind that one. Used it for photo shoots before now. So I'm just passing Plymouth's Marina now, with ribs and selling equipment and great boats in there. A few years ago I covered the Transatlantic and I was taken out by one of their ribs to see the boats come in before they headed off to New York from Plymouth. The event wasn't over well organised from the Plymouth point of view, but it's a great event for me to record. In fact, the reason I got on a rib is because a film crew hadn't turned up to go on the rib, so they wanted somebody to go on the rib, and I was walking past with my video camera, so I had a rib to myself, which is an incredible privilege. So that's the range, and that's a Plymouth success story. The owner of the range is a billionaire in Plymouth, and he's done very well for himself. So this is the Jurassic area, and let's see what it says here. See if we can read it without making too much of a mess of it. Primeval Plymouth to the... I can't read it probably because of the bright sun on it. The bones found in Plymouth from the Jurassic period were here, and that's the rhino. And this is the lesser-footed wheel brace that goes on the rhino's horn, I think. Maybe not. Being silly. Right, we're heading towards the disused railway line now, which will take us down to Hoo Lake, and that's a beautiful, relaxing stretch of land with a park around it as well, and you'll see that in a minute, or 2 minutes. It's a beautiful day. Hey, hey, what a beautiful day for a walk through the park. Got a friend who would have liked to have walked with me today, but he's got injury to his knee, so he can't do a lot at the moment until he gets the operation. And it just shows how quick things can happen. We were taking a walk a few weeks ago and just spun round and his knee dislocated, so he spent a lot of time trying to sort that out. Damn. This has been a Love Summertime TV production 2021. You can contact me at ccsphoto1@gmail.com. If you can help to support my work, you can PayPal me at ccsphoto1@gmail.com. Thanks for watching the video.
It's a lifestyle thing. Be who you want to be.